I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of the District of Chetwynd. Can I get the opening statement read, please?
As we gather today on the traditional territory of the Treaty 8 Nations to conduct the business of the District of Chetwynd, we do so knowing that we are privileged to serve the citizens of this community, and we shall endeavor to conduct our business in their best interests. Thank you.
And can I get us to continue to stand? And we're going to take this moment to for one of the councillors that passed in the last week. So if it would be Richard Martin. So he was on council in Chetwynd here. So we will honor him with a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. Prior to adoption of the agenda, is there any new business that we need to address? Council?
I'd like to add emergency management options during stat holidays.
Okay. Any others? Not seeing any. Will be added to new business. And their adoption of the agenda, please.
So, second.
All those in favor? Carried. Minutes of the regular council meeting held on August 18th, 2025.
Motion received.
Okay.
Second.
Any errors or omissions, councillors? Staff? Okay. Accept minutes. All those in favor? Okay. No delegations, bylaws, no bylaws. Committee reports and liaison. Okay, I'll start with the mayor's report. On August 28th, mayor and one of our councillors and members of the District of Chetwynd staff got a chance to meet in person with the Minister of Health, the Right Honourable Josie Osborne. We had a luncheon at one of our local restaurants, Audiolicious. Subjects brought up by the mayor for the minister were the long-term effects of diversion and the impact they have on local residents and surrounding area. And what plan does the NDP have for the future in terms of getting out of a healthcare crisis that plagues the province? Some answers she gave were complex because of the system we live under, and I made the statement that the NDP have the power to change some of the systems that are in place, and to make it easier for the doctors in our community and other communities to do their job rather than being filled up with paperwork. So as for her visit to the Peace Region, this is her third visit. First as the Minister of Health, so she has been here before, and as somebody coming to visit our region and finding it quite vast, and she understands that. The Minister of Forest did not, and he tried to get around to 5 different places in the region, and he found it quite difficult. So I thanked her for her passion to come back to visit us and to give the local government a chance to face with ministers like her. So I'd like to thank her for this, and I'd like to thank the council for being there and the staff for asking questions. There was 2 other Northern Health employees there. Steve, did you have anything else on Chiro? Because I was at the end, and I think you had an opportunity, or no, it was Julia talking with Chiro. So anyway, this was very, very nice of them to show up in terms of we don't get an opportunity to ask a few questions that might be pertinent to Chetwynd alone. So diversions was one of the big ones, and retention of doctors. Anything to add, Councillor?
Yeah, it's pretty great when the ministers do take a minute to stop in our small community, because so much conversation in politics is about how the Canadian communities, the rural communities make Canada. Yet so many of the ministers seem to miss that note, and Josie Osborne did show up, and yes, due to my situation at the table, I engaged the CEO of Northern Health much more than I got to speak with Ms. Osborne. But I had a really grand opportunity to speak with the CEO, and ask him, I think one of the key points that people in Chetwynd always want to know is, why are the administrative costs so high with Northern Health? And he really, I don't know if he's been rehearsing this answer, but he stated that with his large budget, administrative costs are actually around 4%. He feels that they're doing everything in their job to pare down that budget. And it was just nice to hear that he's focused on being fiscally responsible. I did have this little nugget that I've been holding on to from being in Ottawa a couple months ago. I met this brilliant mayor from just outside Ottawa, and she said that one of the solutions that they found to their healthcare crisis is having a paramedic-led virtual doctor assistance right at the paramedic station, in which they're doing this in Ontario, but certainly not across the country yet. But she gave me all the paperwork, all her slide decks, everything that they've been using, and I was able to, put it in Cheryl's hands. He gave me his email right at the table. He had all that information immediately, and it's by no means my idea. It was just handed to me, and I handed it to Northern Health, not just Northern Health, but the CEO, and potentially we have some kind of grand solution that has been at our fingertips. With people who are already working and ready to administer. And I know there's a lot of red tape surrounding how we administer healthcare, but any solution, any option, if we can save any life in our community, I think is going to be helpful. And thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports? Councillor Deck?
Last week, Councillor Nelson and I attended the fire department meeting and round table. Several issues were brought up and appeared to have been resolved. Anything that cannot be resolved was going to be researched and answered. Volunteer recruitment is still an issue, and I would like to thank all of the firefighters that continue to volunteer on a steady basis. They're the backbone of the community.
May I ask something?
Go ahead, Ben.
Let's go for it.
Thank you for inviting me to that, Councillor Deck. One thing that I can add is I was surprised to see this young crowd of really passionate volunteers. And yes, we have lost the majority of our older, longtime members, but I don't think that should discount how great this group is. With these young people, we have an extreme future, and I hope that our community recognizes that these young people they have a lot of energy, and they want to recruit. So if you know people, send them to the volunteer fire department. They're ready to take on new members, and they're ready to do basically everything to save our community and to do the best they can. So it was great to witness, and I was thankful to be invited. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports? Not hearing any. Motion to accept reports as?
I'll motion. I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Discussion items. Invite from Doig River First Nations, Walking the Path of Justice, First Nation Court Conference 2025.
So I'd make a motion that council authorize the mayor or alternate to attend the Doig River First Nation Walking the Path of Justice First Nations Court Conference 2025, November 19th through 21, 2025.
Discussion?
So just out of curiosity, I went online and researched it and I was just wondering about the price, because so often we'll invite all mayor and council, and I really do understand this is a new conference and we really do have to watch our budget with travel and such. So I just went through the process, just so everyone knows, and I'm not saying that I'm going, but I might have to call them, because I just wanted to see if I pressed, they didn't tell me a price, so I went through the information, and then I pressed register, and then I was registered, and I was like, it didn't cost $1. So evidently there's no high cost associated with it. And if my mayor would like to go, I'll give him a call and say sorry, but that's how it's working on the website anyway. Thanks.
Any more discussion? Julia's going. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Correspondence. Letter from the city of Williams Lake dated August 14th, 2025. Donation of the chainsaw carving.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Do we want to read it? Councilor?
Oh,
Yeah,
shall
okay.
I?
Yeah,
Since I was doing all the talking today, yes. Dear Mayor Coutre, read donation of chainsaw carving. On behalf of the City of Williams Lake Council, I want to express our profound gratitude to yourself and the District of Chetwynd for the donation of the goalie chainsaw carving to our city. This carving of BC Hockey Hall of Fame inductee Carey Price is especially poignant for our community, as Carey grew up in our region and played hockey in Williams Lake. It was an honor to have you here personally to unveil this new piece of artwork in our community. I know the District of Chetwynd has many incredible carvings on display, and we appreciate you sharing one of the very best with us. Thank you again for your generous donation, which will help beautify our community and celebrate our local hockey heritage for many years to come. Should you require anything further, please do not hesitate to contact my office, telephone number, and contact email right there. Yours truly, Surinder Paul Rather.
Okay, any discussion on the letter? Okay, thank you. Councillor? Accept the letter for information. All those in favor? Carried. Information items. I1 to I5. I1 to I5, information items. Any to be pulled, Councillor? Okay, accept I1 to I5.
Motion to accept I-1 to I-5. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Reports for action. Shipping containers.
With that recommendation, council direct staff to prepare an amendment to building bylaw number 973/2012 to remove residential zoning from long-term temporary permit section, or the council direct staff to prepare amendment for both zoning bylaw number 1150/2023 and building bylaw number 973/2012 with the purpose of aligning bylaws with the direction of council to permit the use of shipping containers as accessory buildings.
I'm gonna second that just so we can discuss it.
Yep, okay. Seconded by Councillor Nelson. Okay, open for discussion. Councillor McDonald.
So I spent a lot of time researching the benefits and basically the pros and cons of having shipping containers used on residential properties. They're fantastic for storage purposes as they're cost effective. They stand the weather. I, for one, will not be in favor of this particular motion just because of the aesthetics portion of it, as well as some mild safety. I did see a couple of recent letters from fire departments from, I think it was Cranbrook, and I did make note, and Campbell River about hazards of storing flammable materials within it. And I'm just not sure what kind of enforcement we would have having people in residential areas storing potentially flammable materials within an air, like a, what is the term they used? Heat trap. So I've got a couple other points here too, but I'll allow for other discussion.
Councillor Hunt?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this since we started discussing it, but I actually would be in favor as long as we did our due diligence and safety of how it's set up on the property. I think that Chetwynd lacks storage as is, and it is something that, you know, is rodent-free. But yeah, they're not the prettiest, but what do we have for options for people in community? I think that we should look at, you know, size of property versus size of CCAN, like there should be guidelines to that that we all agree on, but I think that I don't see an issue with it, and I think that anything to support people living in community if they're following bylaws and whatever our expectations are in regards to safety, I don't see an issue with it, and I think we should discuss that further.
Any others?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Nelson, yep, go ahead, and then Smith.
Well, yes, I agree with the aesthetics portion, and beautification is really important to me. So on those terms, I feel like the temporary permits fit people's needs currently. I actually really tried to wrap my head around the language involved here and how altering the zoning bylaw versus the building bylaw. I actually don't really even understand what Councillor Deck just said, but what I really just want to state is that I kind of like it the way it is. I want the bylaws to make sense and not be contradictory, but people have the option to use them for temporary purposes. They have the option to apply for permits for them. If Chetwynd wants to have a really, really industrial feel to our beautiful subdivisions, I would suggest everyone votes ahead, but I'm not sure that I agree with that.
Councillor Smith?
I kind of echo Julia in that what we have right now allows for short term, and you can also apply for a long-term permit, if I'm reading this correctly, which kind of fits both people. Is that right? The temporary long-term permit is available for long-term. So what's the temporary permit?
There's an actual time limit. Marv would like to stand up and speak to that if she could,
Yep.
if the council approves.
Councillor Reese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, goodness, Marvel McKinnon, bylaw enforcement officer, District of Chetwynd. I am the author of this report. I understand that it can be very confusing, but at the end of the day, when you are looking at the hierarchy of your bylaws, the zoning bylaw will trump the building bylaw. So that means that even though in the building bylaw it says that you can apply for a long-term temporary for these, the zoning bylaw does not say that, and it says that it's not permitted. So the zoning bylaw trumps it. So in this report, I have tried to suggest that we align the two bylaws in whichever direction council wishes. Does that make sense?
Councillor Smith?
So if we wanted it to read as the building bylaw that provides the option for a temporary but actually a long-term permit, meeting the criteria here, we would have to align. So it would be D, that we would prepare amendments for both the zoning and building bylaw with the purpose of aligning them. That would be the one that would make it more closer to the building bylaw as opposed to the zoning bylaw, where we actually aren't allowed, no matter what.
Actually, what we would end up doing is, depending on which direction that you want to go, we can kind of make tweaks to both bylaws, and that's kind of what I was suggesting here. So that we can add more, if you wanted to go with the long-term permits and allow them into a residential zone, then we would probably want to add a few more regulations into the zoning bylaw as far as location for them, what color they may be, how old they may be, the condition of them, what may be stored in them, because we could add that to our fire smart. Also, the initiative that we're doing with, that is happening with our fire department is fire smart kind of initiative going on in the community. So these are all things that we can kind of throw is a bad word, but we can intertwine all of it. So we can make it into both bylaws so that they agree with one another for one, so that we're not saying no in one and yes in the other, which is rather important. But also that we can add whatever council feels needs to be added in order to regulate the types of shipping containers that you want to put in, or the size, the shape, the whatever, right? We can look at those technicalities after.
Councillor McDonald?
In the event that we go that direction, bylaw enforcement on that would be significantly higher potentially, with having to navigate people putting in more sea cans and shipping containers within their homes. Correct? I've got a follow-up question after that.
So I'm going to be honest here. I'm the one that showed. I'm not going to go around peeking in everybody's backyard to see if they have a sea can. So if there's sea cans out there that are unpermitted and not the right anything, I will be relying mostly on people to tell me about them. I see the ones that are in the front because that are in the temporary, put them in the front so that we can move, so we can do renovations, whatever. And I see those very readily and I can enforce on that. But peeking into people's backyards can kind of get a little creepy, let's be honest.
With that, my follow-up question is then, we, as the district, would lose the ability to safeguard the beautification standards that we put within the bylaw. And so having people put them in without, and I hate to say this because it's not, having adequate bylaw enforcement means it could potentially be willy-nilly within the community, lack of a better term again.
Councillor Hunt?
Yeah, just sorry, I'm kind of going a bit off topic, but how do they get their permit? They just walk in, is there a fee, and how do we determine if that, like, do we have to assess whether it's safe for that? Like, what does that all look like? Can you please explain it to me?
I'll let Marv handle this one as well. She's more familiar with that side of it.
So if I see a sea can that is not on my list, which I do keep a list, I will reach out to them, and they are required to have a permit for anything that is in the front yard especially. The permits are signed by the building inspector. So if somebody is doing renovations, they're gonna come in and they're gonna ask the building inspector about building permits, and then they're going to tell him about what they're doing, and then he will make sure that they have all of the permits, including the one for the sea can for temporary storage. Now, if we're going to go into the direction of allowing people to have them into the backyards, chances, and I'm just trying to be open and honest, chances are that we're going to end up with more sea cans and less permits. There is a portion of all communities, of all people, just being agreement, that would rather ask forgiveness than permission, especially if it's going to cost them a little bit of money.
How much money though? Like, how, like if I'm not, like, I am not talking about construction, but if somebody just wants to have a sea can on their property because they have a lot of stuff or whatever, they come into the building, like, what is the process for applying for it? Is like, does a size of property matter at this point? And how much would it cost them to have that for a short-term permit?
For a short-term permit, for their,
Didn't bring mine.
they can have, I think there's a size maximum, I believe. They can, but they rent it, right? So it's only permitted for up to 2 years. The permit fee is refundable. It's not a fee, it's a deposit. So it's refundable. It's $150. And then when they remove their CCAN, we refund that money to them. So it doesn't actually cost them anything to do temporary. The reason that we want that deposit is so that if they choose not to, we can use that money to then remove it for them. So
Okay,
it doesn't cost our taxpayers any extra.
okay. So if it's free, aside from the refundable money, that we ask them to come in just to get a permit for it, that covers them to have it, then they can renew a year later and keep it longer, correct?
For an extra year, yeah, we can renew it for 1 time.
Okay, I'm just questioning if we, like, I don't know if everybody knows this, and if we found a more solution-based way to help support people to have them if they need them, to help us support community to have them, would that not be a better option for community members with storage? That's kind of where I'm going with that. Maybe I'm confusing everyone. It's quite possible. Pardon me?
Do you have an idea on how we could support it?
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering, like, if people knew that they could come in, you said that they have, there's CCANs out there that don't have permits, so how do we support them to know that there's only this refundable fee to have them? And so maybe that would encourage them to come in and get it, and if it means us not having to, like, go chase them down or ask for a community to report them and we already knew about them, like, maybe that would be the solution, is to support them to do it in a way that helps us and helps them, was where I was going with that.
So one of the processes with all of our sidewalks is to put out education. So right now, we will find in the copy talk that there is a property maintenance bylaw education piece that says what you need to do, what you are expected to do for your property. I will set, it's usually bigger in the spring and smaller in the fall, because people need to be reminded earlier. And when the fall comes, then we'll start talking about snow removal and parking and all of that stuff. So this is definitely something that I could just add to that list. And just kind of throw the education piece for people. I would dare say 3/4 of my job is education for people, to help them understand what progress are and what they need to do in order to stay compliant with them. And I would like it to be more than 3/4. Enforcement part's not always fun, but yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Councillor,
We have a bylaw in place for the carports. They're set back from the property. I have nothing against them. They're fine by me. The reason I brought this up first off is just to have a level playing field for anybody who wants one, because we do have CCANs all over town, and they're just not allowed in the residential areas. If we put regulations on them, on size, maybe aesthetics on them, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal personally. That's my opinion on it. No, all good.
yeah, just talk about fairness, I guess, between the industry and the residents, local residents. So what is our purpose here? I know we discussed it, and to make sure that we have a good understanding of what goes on. And one of the major things that we do in our community is making sure people are safe. So this is one of the things that if there's things out there that other communities recognize that there's a safety factor in storing items, and it becomes to the local residents as personal stuff that goes in there. So this is kind of a issue that when we deal with people's personal properties, because they pay for it, they pay the taxes, they do all of that. So this is one of the things that we as a council have to respect, because these are the bylaws and these are what we do as law. So to me, the safety factor, if there's other communities that have recognized a potential to hurt some of our volunteer workers, then maybe we should have a good look at that. And maybe we need some kind of report from these communities on how they address this situation. I would hate to see one of our volunteers go into a situation where we have a CCAN and we don't know what's in there, and it's located by the house or whatever. Doesn't matter where it's located, I guess, when it's on fire or something burning around it. And if there's explosives or something in there, we need to address that. We should start at the safety factor first. So I'm suggesting that we ask our CAO to find some information on this, and maybe we need to defer some of our decisions because we already have the bylaw in place. We're not struggling for time here on this one, so we should try to get everything set so that we are going to make a good decision, a good, safe decision. So if I could ask the council for a deferral till we get a report from our CAO and staff. Let's do that, and
So I need a motion to defer. A motion to defer.
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion on the deferral? Councilor
I
Smith?
just have a question about this in case it comes back up, just
Okay.
the way these are worded. So D is if we align both the bylaws, because there seems to be some misalignment between the zoning and building. D says we would have to permit the use of shipping containers and accessory buildings. And then E says would not permit the use of shipping containers as accessory buildings. My question is, if they're aligned, does that E still give the options of temporary and long-term permitting depending on certain subjects?
That would be for temporary only.
So the line is here.
And the intent of that, of course, is for building renovations when you're moving, so you have that short-term storage available.
Okay.
Okay, on the deferral. Those in favor?
A motion, she seconded.
Yeah, all in favor for deferral? And you will send us when it'll appear on the next or a future meeting?
We'll have a report ready for you in the next council meeting, regular council meeting.
And
And we'll just lay out what we found for safety concerns. We'll lay out, again, just the basic options. Does council want to change the existing bylaw
Yeah.
or maintain it the way it is? Will be kind of the brass tacks of it.
yeah, will you be touching base with our fire department?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, deferral till we get some information and report. Okay, thanks, council. And RA2, property maintenance. Proposed. Councilors?
Motion to receive.
I'll second.
Is that appropriate, staff, that we just received?
Yes, you can just receive the report for information and then we maintain the status quo as is.
Okay,
If you want it updated or changed in some way, then that would be the motion.
okay, motion's been to receive, seconded. Question?
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead, councilor.
Okay, here's let me got lots of notes on this one, so just give me a second. I love the information that was put out by bringing these bylaws forward for the public. I've noticed that even though everything is being followed to a T, and we're following the charter and following the bylaw, that there's still some problem areas. And our community has been really vocal about it. And I'm wondering if we could have a more proactive approach in regards to enforcement. Like, so for example, if the charter says that we have to let them know within 30 days, if there are chronically unsightly premises, can we let them know in, say, fall or winter with like a specialized notice, which could potentially follow under Section D, other enforcement options, or something along those lines, that they get a notice saying that, you know, your premise has been like habitually unsightly for the following years. Here's our documentation of our notices to you. For the upcoming year, could we potentially, you know, tell them that we're going to be taking care of their property every 2 weeks until they themselves take on the responsibility, or something along those lines?
We're billing them for that?
Pardon?
We're billing them for that?
Yes, yeah.
Barb would like that one as well.
Go ahead, Mark.
And the rest of us sounded like, oh, so the property maintenance, what I am doing is I am in conferring with our lawyers for all of those habitually problem areas. And I am currently working with them. So what, the best line of practice is for us to basically petition the courts and have the courts give them, now I can lose the word, an injunction. So the injunction will then say, not only will you make your property clean and safe, but you will keep it clean and safe. If they then go against that injunction, it is now against the courts.
A breach.
A breach, thank you, a breach against the courts, so it's a court order. And then they can face jail time. So that's the direction that I'm going right now with some of our chronic. And I think that it's probably our best bet. I mean, if people feel like we're serious, or if there's any other questions.
Thank you.
Councillor Hunt?
I'm wondering,
How long and how many warnings or reports do we do on a property before we consider courts? Like, is it a 3-strike rule? Like, how many years do things go on unsightly before we become more firm with our expectation?
Currently, it's been too long.
Agreed.
Agreed. And it's been kind of, I've been back on the job since 2018, and there was different priorities put on different bylaws, and until I get real direction from council, which priorities are highest and which are lowest and where they go. I issue their notices every single year. They do work. So what happens is that I'll mow my lawn and I'll kind of tidy this area and we'll make it, a little bit at a time. So I can see that there's an effort. And if I can see that there's an effort, then I won't necessarily the enforcement. Then snow hits, everything's frozen, and we kind of have to wait till spring again. Now, some of these people have taken advantage of that, and I recognize that. And I took it to our administration this year and said, listen, I think I need to move this forward, but it does cost money to take it to lawyers, to take it to the courts, so you have to do a process. But yeah, it's kind of a confusing go, but it's been too long right now, and we're moving forward with it. Have been since the start.
Okay, so is there a set amount of times that you give a warning before you decide that an injunction is the best step forward? Like, is there a policy and procedure in regards to how you move forward, or whoever moves forward to say, okay, you know what, we've been pretty lenient for this amount of time. I second what McDonald is saying about people are complaining, and I've heard it get so loud this year about the way our city's looking industrial, and, like, the C-Cans is hasn't never even come up from a complaint, but definitely how properties look and how buildings are boarded up, and it's, it is a problem. So is there a policy and procedure in place for you to know when you draw your line, how many warnings to give, and when to move forward with an injunction?
Unfortunately, really it is kind of a case-by-case basis. Properties that are not inhabited, generally I just send it on over and we build them. There's probably been a couple that I've missed this year, maybe more than a couple, because I've been working so heavily on these cases that are going through the court process, and along with certain personal issues that are going on in my world. But that is generally the case. If they're not inhabited, I send them a notice, and then 30 days later, I send in a lawnmower. Every time I send in a lawnmower, the community charge says you have to give them another notice, and then you have to wait that 30 days again.
Would it be easier if we, and maybe I'm off, like, because I'm still new and learning these things, but would it be easier if you had a policies and procedures that is different, or the bylaw was different, so that it would help support you to enforce these things without a 30-day, like, it seems like you,
Community charter, that's provincial. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Nelson?
So you're telling us that a court injunction is gonna give you one access to lawn mowing? Like, one?
This is not for lawn mowing.
Okay.
This is not for lawn mowing. This is for a unsafe property. And that is where the line gets drawn, for sure, is when we have rubbish and
hoarding.
just stuff everywhere, or hay bales that are a fire hazard, or cars that are rotting away. Those are things that are like inhabiting an entire space and are really causing, environmental damage, potential for property damage, and those types of things. Those are the ones that are gonna go to court. Lawn mowing is never gonna, I understand. Right. I'm not gonna march somebody into court over a lawn that's a little long. It's not gonna happen.
So the purpose of this discussion is,
Basic information.
Yeah.
there's not much we can really do.
Go ahead.
I need to add that, I feel like you're talking about more residential properties on some of these issues, but, we're clearly, our community members, have a apparent and serious issue with the boarded up buildings and the unsightly long grass and those empty lots downtown. And we don't want to deter business people from coming to town and building whatever's going to be built on that big lot. I'm just excited to see it happen. They've already put so much money in the ground, but it does look terrible at this very moment. I mean, they're in the process of construction, I so believe. Back to not wanting to deter business, but then the other conversation is, what about the current business owners that are feeling like business is being deterred because of these lots? And what about our visitors that are deterring business by not showing up because it kind of looks a bit unsightly, right? So that's the big conversation. But then we get into, okay, we're gonna be bullish and move ahead and take care of it. And then what about all our park staff that's already getting flack for not mowing the grasses that we already have quite enough? So there's so many conversations to be had around this. I would love to see people just get straight to business, but what I want to see is them just clean it up enough that it doesn't look as unsightly as it does at this moment. And does it really require a court injunction? I guess it was under provincial legislation that we were able to mandate putting up boards on the buildings for safety purposes, right? So, sorry, I kept going, but please go ahead.
I'm sorry, I got interrupted, that was my bad. When we're talking about the boarded up commercial buildings, the most that I, have under my mandate is that I can require them to keep the parking lot clean, keep the lawn mowed, and that kind of thing. If these, there are a process that can be followed, but you really have to get a lot of people on board, with, designating every building 100% a hazardous building. And then there's a lot of, paperwork and red tape and all kinds of things for us to require them. But all we can really, as far as I know and I can tell, you guys correct me, I might be a little off, but I'm pretty sure the only thing we can really require is for them to maybe paint it or tear it down. Maybe.
Mark,
Yeah, I think we're, yeah.
turn your mic off just for a sec. Yeah, only one mic works at a time. This is where, like in the past with the old hotel, the council decided to take it over to have it torn, demolished, and that's the vacant lot now. That was, I believe, about $2 million roughly. How much was that? Alan, do you remember?
Which?
For tearing down the old hotel, remediating that? I've heard various numbers. Anyway, without, it requires an extensive cost of taxpayer money to take over somebody's property and do what you want with it. And that's where the rub always is. It's unsightly, what's unsightly to some isn't to others. Some people are playing a long game where they're trying to build something meaningful and long-term and bring that business into the downtown core. And we have a philosophy in our country that a man's home is his castle. It goes back to like the 1500s. So personal property is considered very important. We also have a definite philosophy in Canada that government is providing too much oversight and overreach. And we're trying to govern too hard and not allowing citizens to live what they consider to be free lives, right? So we have to be very careful as a group moving forward on how we want to proceed. And that's just my advice as the CAO. You guys can decide the direction you want to go, but when we're starting to talk about demolishing other people's property, that's, we're going to be in court. We're going to pay a lot of money for the privilege of doing that. And I just want to be very clear on that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Apparently, the province has the right with the community charter, as I heard. So when we do things around here, we have to be cognizant of the province being the law. So we got to be careful on how we state our business, and private business is private business. So any other discussion? Not hearing any. Okay.
More.
Sorry, I just, I'm kind of being brought back, like, when we're talking about industrial and housing and bylaws, I feel like I get that things are case by case, but I think there needs to be a level of fairness. If we're going to be citing some properties for certain bylaw things, I think we need to be going to all properties when they're missing the bylaw. And I think that our voice needs to be firm on all areas and not picking and choosing because of business or whatnot. And so I just wonder about further solutions that we could look into and find so that we are more fair in the way that we are addressing residential or industrial bylaws and what we're willing to risk. And I think that if we are talking about demolishing buildings at $1 million, that should be something that community members should be voting on if they want their tax dollars to go to that. And that way they have a choice to look at it being unsightly or vote that their tax dollars go there, but at least they are having a say in what is going on in the community rather than just being very vocal about it not looking good.
Just got to make it clear, we are not demolishing anything, so if anybody has that, what do you call it, that we are demolishing anything of anybody's private property, we cannot be stating anything of that fact to state that we do demolish anything of private property. So just want to make that clear to everybody.
That's all I know. I was just going off
Yeah.
what Steve said.
And when we demolished the old hotel, it should be clear that we took it over as a tax sale, right? So it was unpaid taxes, but we ended up with a considerable bill on top of that. And that's what I referred to. I apologize if I wasn't clear, but if it helps at all, Barb and I have been having discussions on how to clarify the process. And the laws change and how municipalities address this issue, because it's every single community in Canada. Probably in North America, possibly in the world, I don't know. I'm not that well traveled, but I know everywhere I go in Canada, you see exactly the same thing. We're working on trying to make it work for Chetwynd, and we'll continue to make it improve, and we'll continue to provide you with options as we move forward.
Okay. Okay, where are we at here? It was a long discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
So because I was here at the last council meeting, I know that there was mention about the Kamloops murals. And I wanted to let you know that I looked into it, and I looked into how that's happening and why that's happening. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the district, or the city hall. It's a not-for-profit organization that has taken that on and was working with property owners and businesses in the area and commissioning those murals.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Marv.
Yeah. Okay, what did we have? Do we have a motion or anything on this matter?
A motion to receive for information.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. We're down to reports for information. July accounts payable checklist. I-1.
Motion to receive.
Okay.
Any questions? Councillor Smith?
I have two. One, what was the charge to Oak and Turf Golf July 18th? Check number 72? No, it can't be 72. Oh, sorry, 011460072.
Page 3.
For 411, sorry.
For Oak Creek.
Yeah,
Oak Creek Golf and Turf is, we buy parts for our lawnmowers from them.
good to know. And then my other question is, First Nations Health Authority, July 2nd, check number 99335 for $1,000.
That's gonna be the return of a building permit, or building deposit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Smith and then Deck. I mean, Councillor McDonald, then Deck.
The PRD on July 31st for over $1 million.
Taxes.
That's what I figured, but I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, that's, what we collected on behalf of the regional district from the community here, so.
Councillor Deck.
Silver Sands outfitting, $3,884. $99348.
What was the date on that one?
July 22nd.
Page 1, Kevin. Page 1.
It was a check. I'm sorry, I don't know the details of that one offhand. I'll have to get it for you.
Sure, I have one.
Okay.
My question is in regards to the Commissioner of Finance with the school tax. It's just that it was such a large check roll this month. And it was almost $1 million, and I recognize that we collect on behalf of the school. I was just curious if that's annual or biannual, or how was that, how we pay that?
The school taxes under the current system, we pay them 10 business days after the tax due date, and then January, I think 10 days after the year end, I owe them the remaining balance of what gets collected through the rest of the year.
Thank you. So this time of year is, can you hear me? Yeah. This time of year is technically the time to pay them, and it's always going to be a bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's all of the stuff that we collect on behalf of other jurisdictions, be it the school district, the regional district, the regional hospital district. This is the time of year when they're all due. The school's 10 days after business, after the tax due date, along with police that we collect. Regional district and hospital district and BC assessment are all due August 1st, so.
Okay, thanks.
No further questions? All those in favor? It's payable. Okay, RI2, audit finance statement.
I'll make the motion that council receive the annual audited financial statements for information.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Who's on to it? All those in favor? Oh, got a question? Councilor Nelson?
I know that we've had a bit of a long meeting already, but I just feel like it would be prudent for our Director of Finance to point out anything that he felt worthy of our community knowing and hearing.
Okay. The biggest part of this is the statement of financial position, which says that at the end of the calendar year of 2024, the district was in what is referred to as a net financial asset position, which is a very, very solid financial position of in excess of $12 million. That's the biggest takeaway to take from this is the fact that the district is in a good financial situation at this point. So there's no concerns from that aspect at all. The rest of it is really details about just how it all gets to that point. But at the end of the day, the net financial assets, as opposed to some communities would have a net financial debt there where their liabilities exceed their assets, and that's not the case here. We're very solid that way, so.
Councilor?
Thank you, that's good news.
Okay. All in favor, financial statement? Carried. Industry report requirement.
I'll make a motion that council receive this report for information. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? You got one, Councilor Beck?
No, I just didn't get the actual.
You didn't show up?
Right. Oh,
You did?
no.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have something to add.
Okay.
I feel like, this report, like this particular company is reporting to the province as legislated, and that we, get ourselves in big trouble talking about business. And I'm not really sure that it is up to us to have this conversation. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Staff?
Well, thank you for that. I like when people have been listening. It's another factor in this is actually Lisa Risvold with Kanuma phoned me shortly before the meeting, and she's going to provide a completely fulsome report of the entire incident.
Just, who is she?
Oh, Lisa Risvold is a communications and community relationship manager for Kanuma Coal. She's approached council before. And so they're very open about sharing these kinds of incidents with us. She's going to provide a report. They're either going to come as a delegation or send me the report to give to council for October 6th, the next council meeting. She apologized for not getting it for this meeting, but she was away on holidays. As well, I have an inspector from BC Mines that's going to contact me as well with requirements. But it was in the news, so it's public information in that sense. They were fined for exceeding a limit on fugitive dust, it's called. The person doing the judging did note that they had tried a lot of mitigation efforts to improve the situation, and that it was inadvertent, it was an accidental over limit. So their environmental people are going to contact us and give us an overview of how they plan to minimize these types of incidents in the future.
That's very proactive of them, thank you.
No.
Okay. Accept for information. All those in favor? New business. New business. Oh, should be, yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Nelson.
Thank you. Yesterday just brought about this question in my head about, like I was having a hard time breathing and I was tucked away in my home, with the curtains drawn, and I couldn't help but think about the people who have real lung issues and don't have air conditioning or proper shelter or proper shade. And we have our facilities open for heating in the winter, for cooling in the summer. And our facilities have better air filtration systems than majority of any home in our area. So we offer this to our community members, except for yesterday. And I don't know if there was a facility open yesterday within the district of Chetwynd that was open to our community members, but from what I could tell, there wasn't one. And that was just a little bit problematic when, as I consider myself to be a very healthy individual, and I'm feeling the struggle, and I'm going, I think we just dropped the ball, everybody. It was a stat holiday, and I call it summer. I guess we're getting into fall here. But I don't know if we can get away with not having a facility open on a stat when we've got fires and we've got heat like that.
Staff, go ahead.
Well, the short version of that is that we're always available to open. We do have people staffing facilities even during stat holidays. We rely on provincial notifications. This has happened in the past. They'll notify us if it reaches a certain level where it's a health concern, and then we'll activate our ESS. We'll activate our emergency services, our emergency response plans, and we'll start notifying people and looking for it. But there's kind of a chain of stuff to happen. Northern Health will let us know if they have an increase in breathing problems at the hospital, which didn't happen. The province would notify us if the air quality level reaches a certain point, which again didn't happen. So there's a group of us that are always aware of the situation. We're always monitoring the situation, and it doesn't matter if it's a stat or the middle of the night or whatever. There's always somebody that's available to take the call. And we always make sure that we're there to respond. And in the case of a stat holiday, in the case of an emergency, we'll just open up a facility. We'll bring people in, and we've done it in the past, we'll do it in the future. But, I appreciate the concern because it's one we all share, but it's one I think we're on top of fairly effectively.
And thank you for that. And how do our community members know and understand all that information if they are in distress and standing at the rec center door wondering where to find respite?
Well, we're pretty easy to contact in general, and we do, like we're tied into social media and that kind of thing. I have that B City phone app that I've been encouraging residents to get for quite some time. And that was why. That phone app is designed so that we can reach out to residents and let them know when there's an emergency situation. And residents can reach out to us and let us know when they feel that there's an emergency situation. And it's active 24/7. And we monitor it 24/7. Like, again, it comes on my phone, and my phone is always on, and we're always there to respond. We have first responders, we have, you know, the fire department, we have BC Ambulance, Northern Health, we have organizations like Tansy and Soto. We all communicate. If we have, you know, I haven't seen one person standing in front of the rec center not being able to get in, so I would hope that they would be able to reach out to somebody to, you know, to call an ambulance if they felt like they were in distress. But there's a lot of different systems in place. Unfortunately, we're talking about, you know, government oversight again, and there was a contingent in town that felt like this was a way for government to monitor them with B-City. It's not that at all. That's completely false. It's really frustrating to me that people would say that, because it prevents bedridden seniors or homebound seniors from getting help easily and effectively when they need it. We're not trying to monitor anybody. We don't have time to monitor anybody, but we are trying to help and notify people when there is an emergency. So we'll do social media, we'll do news, we'll do, we'll check on people that we know are vulnerable. We have a lot of systems in place to try to help our community. When we find shortfalls, we correct them. And when we find people that aren't getting the help we need, we try to figure out a way to get them for future episodes.
And I truly don't want to discount the good work done by all the emergency service people around. And I do appreciate all the feedback, but I'm gonna stand by it and say I do think we need to do better and not be closed on such important days, even though everyone loves a stat holiday. Just seemed like we needed to do something more. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm not gonna beat this to death, but I'm not sure how we do that. Like that, what you're saying is we need to run our facilities 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. That means our staff don't get family time on stats, even when we know there's not an emergency happening and it's relatively low risk. If you want us to do better and you want to, you know, basically pay for it, and you have concrete ideas of what you want us to do, then we're here to obey. We're here to follow your direction. But we are doing the best we can based on past history, and we have a really good success rate. If we fall down in any way, let us know and we'll correct it. But we you know, to staff, to have facilities open every day is a huge toll on manpower and work-life balance and our people's lives.
Okay.
Actually,
No, go ahead, staff.
Some good news is that we partnered with Soto Westmount and our emergency shelter, and the emergency shelter is back open. So that is a good thing, and it was open on a stat holiday. But we can update our posters to make sure that all of those services are listed on that poster, not just ourselves, moving forward.
And I believe we could contact the province, and because we were in quite a situation with the smoke, right? So we can contact the province and say, if you're going to, let's check it out, making sure that this wasn't, was this an emergency or was it an oversight, right? So we could pose those questions too, before, right, when the smoke was here. So we should have been on that, yeah.
and if it's a reassurance, I was in for 3 hours on Saturday and I was in 3 hours on Monday, or 2 hours yesterday to, and that was part of what I was doing was I was reading the province feeds, looking for anything that said that there was an existing health hazard or an emergency response was needed. And there was absolutely no indications from anybody. Like there was a lot of, it's unpleasant, it's smoky, you should stay inside if you have breathing difficulties. But there was no community response required anywhere that I could find. Unless you're down near the fires, then there was some.
Okay. With that being said, no motion or nothing was done. We just got some information. And that would be our new business. And at this time, we give the public questions. If they have any questions on the agenda that we have been presented in front of us today, this is your time to ask questions on what we have. State your name and address and there. Okay, not seeing any. Adjournment. Okay.
Oh, what is gonna happen? A gold armor skeleton.
She almost lost her own friend. No.
Hey, Kat. I have a bone to pick with you.
Welcome to Chat TV Gaming.
Hi, I'm Jillian McDonald, local Tim Hortons owner for Chetwynd. And it's Camp Day, and all of our proceeds from hot and iced coffee go to the Tim's Foundation camps. At the restaurants locally, we're doing a bunch of different incentives. Pick a sucker for a chance to win a prize. We are doing Toss a Toonie for prizing, as well as selling Camp Day bracelets and Camp Day socks. So in the 30-year history of Camp Day, we have nationally raised $225 million and helped send over 300,000 kids to camp between the ages of 12 and 16. Come on down to your local Tim Hortons, or if you're in Chetwynd, come see us. We have police officers washing windows in the drive-through lane, which is always a fun time. Please come and help us send a kid to camp.